The sound you hear is what some experts claim to be a Bigfoot scream. Recorded in the state of Washington by a group of campers in 1971, it is regarded as the highest quality audio of the creature ever captured.
Hello! Welcome to Bigfoot Real Encounters. We're glad to have you stop by. We'd also like to take this time to invite you to share your encounter. You can send your stories to the email bfrealencounters@mail.com, where we will feature your story with all of the respect that it deserves. So send your stories in, bfrealencounters@mail.com. We look forward to hearing from you and your great stories soon. Hello everybody, welcome to Bigfoot Real Encounters. This is your host Chris. I'm glad you clicked on the video. Special welcome to all of our returning viewers, as well as all of our brand new viewers. You have reached one of the very few safe places to share your encounter. A place where you can tell what happened to you that day or that night when you ran into a forest giant, a sabe, a Bigfoot, Sasquatch, etc., whatever name you have come to know them by. We know they're real. You know they're real. We're not going to make fun of you here. We're not going to ridicule you. You will be believed because we've seen them. I've seen them. Other people who are tuning into this channel, they've seen them and have encountered them. Also remember, you don't need to have a sighting to have an encounter. There are many different types of encounters. It is important that your story be told. It is important that your story be heard. It is important that you listen to the stories of others. That's the only way that we are going to get the necessary information out about these creatures, these beings that we share this planet with and that we encounter occasionally. Sometimes people have okay encounters, many times they do not. Suffer PTSD. These creatures like to watch us, look in our windows at us. Some of them take pleasure in scaring us. There are reports of them scaring the heck out of people and then laughing and walking away. Throwing rocks, throwing sticks, pushing over trees. There are many, many different things that go on, and we need to know about these so that we can educate each other and educate our children also. We tell our children about the snakes, bobcat, wolves, coyotes, bears, mosquitoes. Why not these? Why not the sabe, the Sasquatch, the Bigfoot? Well, that's what we're going to be doing. So send in your encounter while we take time out here to listen to other people's encounters. There have been no viewer-submitted encounters for this particular video, so we will continue with our state by state, and today we're going to look at Arizona. Here's one from 1981 in Yavapai County, Arizona. I'm probably not saying that properly, but anyway, this one reads, I was on the Thumb Butte Loop in Prescott next to the city park. While driving, I spotted a reddish-brown creature. I stopped the car immediately and observed the creature. The hair on his arms was longer than the rest. It appeared to have little or no neck. It appeared to be very muscular and covered ground quickly. It was hard to judge the height of the creature because of the distance and shock, but I knew it was tall. It walked in the tree line, and there was a gap in the trees about 75 meters long. I watched this creature walk through this opening. I remember his arms swinging, and he only looked forward. I estimated through military experience, that it was 100 meters from my position. I was sitting in the car with my head turned, looking out the back and side window. I estimated that I saw him for at least 10 seconds, although it seemed longer. What I remember most in my mind was wrestling with the thought that what I was seeing was not supposed to exist. Yet, I was viewing it. It was the most unsettling experience. What I tell you is the truth. I have never told anyone out of fear of ridicule and having my sanity questioned. I hope this information can help your organization. Well, this is something. This person mentioned through military experience, so he was obviously a veteran of one of the branches of military, and yet he knew that there would be ridicule and have his sanity questioned, all because this is programmed into our society that if you mention these creatures, that you are to be ridiculed and that you are to be told that you are crazy. This has got to stop, folks. But anyways, this is why this person held this information in, but now we have the information. This was just one of your typical driving along the road and you happen to see one walking by. You know, your average, hey, look there type of thing. And this happens time after time after time in area after area, all across the United States, all across the world. Many different types of people from all walks of life. It's the same thing over and over again, so we do know that it's real. And once again, there was nobody out banging on the side of a tree, screaming into the darkness to have an encounter. Food for thought. Anyways, please take time to share, like, subscribe to my channel. Hit the bell notification icon so that you are notified when future videos are posted on YouTube. And feel free to leave comments in the comment section below. If you've had a roadside experience that's similar to this, or any other type of experience or encounter, please send it in to bfrealencounters@mail.com. We will read it word for word other than the cuss words, and you can share your experience, get it off your chest. It'll help, as well as inform the rest of us of different types of information perhaps, and we can get the information out to other folks. And let's look around here. We have another one from 1975, Prima County, Arizona. This one looks like it's near Tucson, and it reads, in mid-November of 1975, I was attending the Fenster School in the north part of Tucson, off Sabino Canyon. I would routinely skip a class on occasion, or have a class canceled, so I would hike the surrounding area in the time frame I had, usually from an hour to 2 hours. I would look for Indian artifacts and watch the local wildlife, occasionally seeing coyote, mule deer, or javelina. I can't forget, like it was burned in my mind as I was poking around the old corral that was north of the campus, at least a good half mile or more. First thing that bothered me was my hair stood on end. Then a pungent smell hit me. Then I heard it. I saw through the creosote brush a large, grayish-brown, hairy creature crouched over a gopher den, digging at it. I was perhaps 50 yards away and stood in total fear and shock, what seemed like an eternity, watching it dig with what looked like its hands. It then started to turn towards me. That's when I bolted and ran as fast as I could run back to the campus, across open ground, a former polo field crossed by an abandoned airfield for light aircraft. I kept looking over my shoulder as I panic ran to see if I was being pursued. I wasn't. When I got to the office, I immediately reported what I saw to the school secretary. Even drew a quick sketch what I saw. She said she'd report it to the authorities. I told a few others what I witnessed. Most thought I was nuts, that Bigfoot lives in Canada. I refused to return to that area for months, not venturing far from campus, and especially with someone along. I would later gain enough courage to go into Sabino Canyon, especially with others. I never saw nor heard anything. Later in the spring of '76, I was again looking solo for artifacts. East of the campus, when I found in a wash large footprint shaped depressions spaced a good 5 feet apart crossing the wash. Later, walking along, I looked around immediately as fear rapidly creeped again, but heard, smelled, nor saw anything. I took branches and covered up 5 of the tracks and returned to campus. This time I told a teacher of mine what I found. The next day I took him to the site, a good 45 minutes to an hour's hike. Showed him the tracks. He too felt something big and upright walked that area. We discussed it with a few others. All felt it was a prank, clearly. Why would anyone go to the effort to make such tracks so far out and so unlikely to be found? It's been 25 years and I still get goosebumps thinking about it. And here we have reported another classic type of thing that happens when you find the evidence and show people, say, look at that. Here's footprints, they're 5 feet apart. Okay, I mean, that's quite a stride that most humans cannot do. And when faced with evidence, the first thing that they jump to is, oh, it's got to be a hoax. You can't say anything else about it, so they jump right straight to hoax. Well, it's way out in the middle of nowhere, and who is going to make a hoax where nobody is likely to see it? It doesn't make sense. If I was going to do a hoax, I would put it out in plain view for everybody to see, not hidden where somebody is never likely to come across it. It is just so strange, the reaction that people have who have not had the experience, but they are faced with the evidence of somebody else's encounter. It is just really uncanny. And the last sentence of this encounter says, it's been 25 years and I still get goosebumps thinking about it. These encounters and evidence of encounters have lasting effects far into the future. It really makes an impression on people. So when someone tells you what happened to them along these lines, they saw these creatures or have evidence of it, let's be decent and give them the benefit of the doubt, shall we? Yes, we shall. And let's see if we have time for... Yes, we have time for another one. And let's take a look here in Gila County, Arizona. This one is a period of time from 1900 to 1940. This is going to include several incidences. This report has incidents going back 70 years or more. It is 100% true and as accurate as possible. In the early years of this century, there was a miner who had a camp located in the Matsuso wilderness of the central Arizona. Matsuso is pronounced Matacel. Oh, okay. This miner had located a rich vein of silver and hauled out his silver ore to the Globe Phoenix stage route once a month. He would barter his silver ore for the supplies and food he needed. On one of these trips out to the stage route, he had his 9 burros trailing behind him, each carrying his ore. In an area near the top of the deep canyon, he came face to face with 2 Bigfoot creatures. They were standing in the middle of the trail and would not budge. After a minute or two of the face-off, the miner walked his burros around the two Bigfoot creatures who were still standing there, refusing to move. On the way back to his camp, the two creatures had gone back out into the forest. The miner described the two as one adult male, one adult female. The larger one was about 8 feet tall and quite heavy. The female had breasts and was quite a bit shorter and lighter than the male. It should be noted that this incident happened just after World War I, and the name Bigfoot had not yet been coined. This miner died later while walking out from his camp and was buried next to the trail. There's a small headstone marking his gravesite. The camp was later taken over by another miner in the 1930s. The second miner did not report any unusual incidents. The second miner befriended my dad and gave the property to my dad in 1940. My dad made numerous trips into the camp, the first being in the winter of 1940. At this time, I should give you a picture description of the mine camp we nicknamed Glengowan. It consisted of 2 log cabins built on the southwest corner of a 3-acre clearing at the bottom of a deep canyon that runs east and west and is several miles long. There were 2 other buildings at this site, one a blacksmith shop and the other a storage shed. These 2 buildings deteriorated from age and the remains are still there. The 2 log cabins were small and were located just 3 or 4 feet apart. The smaller one was where the first miner lived and was chinked. That means it was filled in between the logs and the walls, making it warm during cold weather. Back to the story. The first night my dad and his friend were there, they decided to sleep in the warmer small cabin as it was warmer and had a fireplace for warmth. His friend placed his iron cot butted up against the door, which was made of heavy wood and had leather hinges. That night, something pushed the heavy door wide open, causing the 2 men to be dumped out of their beds onto the dirt floor. They heard nothing and saw nothing and smelled nothing. After finding a flashlight and a carbide lantern, they saw that whatever it was and caused the legs of the 2 beds to dig long groove into the dirt floor. The outside ground was frozen and no tracks were found. Then in about 1943, my dad took a bunch of kids to the cabin for a week-long camping trip. The first chore for us kids was to collect some firewood. We went down to the far end of the clearing and were chopping firewood. At this time, we heard an extremely loud screaming, bellowing yell coming from the woods, about 50 feet away. We dropped our rifle and axe and ran back to the cabins. My dad came back to the location with us, but whatever it was had gone back into the forest. It should be noted that the yell could easily have been heard for half a mile or more. The following morning, myself and my friend went down to the creek to get a pail of water. We both saw clearly 3 sets of small barefooted footprints walking down the stream. They looked like small children had been walking in the creek bottom. However, it was miles from any civilization and there was a ranch house at the bottom end of the creek. There were no further incidents on that trip. A year or so later, some of us teenagers returned to Glengowan with my dad. On the way out, on the trail coming out of the canyon, we heard something running away from us, going straight downhill. We had a Rhodesian Ridgeback dog named Bunzo with us. My dad suggested that we turn the dog loose to see what he would do. The dog ran downhill after whatever it was. We caught up with the dog about a quarter mile down the hillside. At the place we found where the track crossed over an area with no leaves or pine needles, and the tracks were very clear in the soft dirt. The tracks were 17.5 inches long and had a 6-foot stride. Yet on another trip, my older brother and a bunch of his friends who had just gotten out of the service after World War II, they had a big party around a bonfire and later went to bed. Part of the bunch were in the large cabin and the others in the nearby smaller cabin. Late that night, something jumped on top of the large cabin roof, yelling and screaming, and then jumped over on the roof of the smaller cabin. The men began shooting their .30-30s through the roof to see if they could hit whatever was running around on the roofs. They must have all missed, and there was no blood found in the morning. A year or so later, I returned to Glengowan with my dad. It was in the summer months. While doing the breakfast dishes, my dad suddenly grabbed his .300 Savage deer rifle and ran out of the cabin to a nearby rock wall. I did not see the creature. My dad described it as a juvenile, abominable snowman. Remember, the name Bigfoot still had not been yet coined. He said it had a pie face, flat. Its eyes were dark brown or black and were round. It had short, dark hair all over its face. No further description. This report is as accurate as possible due to the time since these events happened. Wow, now there were some mischievous Bigfoots running around, jumping on the roofs, hollering, screaming at them. Well, folks, there's a whole set of stories that are very interesting. A lot of different things happening over a long period of time on that plot of land which was a silver mine. Kind of seems like some mischievous, playful type of Bigfoot going on there. Some young ones, almost humorous. Do keep in mind, if you're out there and you're taking a nice hike, or fishing, or hunting, or camping, or picnicking, remember, keep an eye on the tree line to see what's keeping an eye on you. We'll see you in the next one. Once again, another great story. Thanks for tuning in. Please share your encounter. Email us, bfrealencounters@mail.com. Your story is very important. We will treat it with the respect that it deserves. Also, be sure to smash the like button, share, and subscribe. Thanks once again. We look forward to hearing from you soon. Watch out for our next video. Maybe we'll feature yours. Have a great day.